Yeah.
Yo.
Oh, what up, bro? You hear me? Yeah.
Hold on 1 second.
Oh, what up, bro?
Can you hear me now?
I hear you. What up?
All right, cool. I hear you. What's going on, brother?
Chilling, man. So I think Evan is going to be the one screen sharing the app. It was like acting wonky on my iPhone, but I think they were gonna have you test to see if it works. Have you ever screen mirrored before, by any chance? Okay. Just try this real quick. If you go to, you see that share? You have a share on the Zoom screen. If you click that and then go to make sure your Bluetooth is turned on your computer. And if you go to that third box that says iPhone / you have an iPhone, right? Yeah, iPhone, iPad via AirPlay. Hit that and then hit share, and then on your phone, if you like pull that the main
it says a plugin is required to share an iPhone or iPad.
Oh yeah. Download the plugin. It should just install super quick. Yeah. Okay. So I see a black screen. Go to your phone and just go to that. When you pull down to adjust the brightness, there should be a button that says screen mirroring. And then your computer should come up in that menu. See if that works, because it wasn't working for me, or like it wasn't working correctly. But if not, it doesn't matter because Evan can just do it.
Unable to connect to Zoom George's iMac via AirPlay.
Okay, yeah, so same issue I'm having. All right, let me tell.
Is that what you said? Just unable to connect?
Yeah, we tried it for a while. It was acting stupid. But yeah, so basically we're just going to talk through those bullet points that were in the email. I just sent you the doc in case you didn't have it. And then I guess what will happen is Evan will be sharing the screen as we do that. So we're essentially just kind of going back and forth talking about how we use it, why it's good. So I'll do it. We'll do it like the podcast. Like I'll start, I'll host, I'll kind of tee you up, and then you can kind of just Action Network app. One of the top features is pick tracking and win probability. I'll kick it to you, and then you can kind of talk about how you use it, and then we'll just kind of do it like that.
Wouldn't be best to do this at 6:30, because then there's actually games going on?
Yeah, I mean, we want to have time.
How are we going to show the win probability?
I know what you mean. They were like, it's not a big deal. We can double check, or we could do that. Maybe we try to do that last. The problem is they have not jumped on yet. Let me see.
And where are the questions coming from? Like, I don't.
So the questions, so that YouTube link that I sent, that is what the users are going to see. Like, essentially, Evan's going to embed that. And then there's a side chat. There's a chat. And users can send questions to there. But sometimes the thing is, a lot of times users don't send questions. So that's why I wouldn't worry too much about it. If we see
Are you looking at them? How do I look at them?
All right, so you see on the side, you see that you see that YouTube link I sent, not the Zoom link, but the YouTube link. It's in the Slack. Yeah, this sounds mad techie. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You see the YouTube link I sent in the Slack from the buzzer. But yeah, so that YouTube link, it's essentially just I would mute. Make sure you mute it. Make sure you mute
Yep.
YouTube. Okay. And then on that side, I just posted something in the chat, just fucking around. But that's where they would come up on the right side.
Who are the 6 people watching?
Whoever has a live, whoever has alerts, and probably Mears and Evan.
Oh, okay.
And
all right. So when do we want to start this?
we're starting at 6. We can
Okay.
just
Do you need to do anything else right now?
yeah, you can feel free to get up. And we just need to be back at 6. I was just trying to see if your screen share worked, but it doesn't.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Should I just keep my shit up?
You can stop video. Actually, stop video. Just hit stop video for now and mute, and then just come back. Yeah. All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to this new user chat for Action Network Edge subscribers. We're just going to kind of quickly run through some of the cool features that we use to make good bets and make profitable bets. And I know a lot of these features can kind of be, you have some questions about them if you're a new user and you might want to know how to use them. So we'll run through them. I'm here with Stuckey. I'm sure you know him. You can follow him in the Action app at Stuckey2. You can follow me at Chris Raybon. Of course, you can that'll allow you to see all of our picks and whatnot. But let's get into it. And the first thing I think we want to touch on when we're talking about an Edge subscription is pick tracking, and that's essentially what we do. So you guys can see our bets, and you can also do it yourself. And that is one of, I think, the coolest features, because you always want to be tracking your bets to kind of go back and look over how you did. But I guess just kind of talk about how you use the pick tracking feature in the Action app and what the benefits of it are to you as a bettor.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I live on this app. I live on my, my sports books on this app. I mean, if I look at my battery percentage usage each week, it's like this is 60%. And the other is like internet putting bets in and Twitter. And then like some Slack. That's pretty much my life. But yeah, you can come in and number one, so if you wanted to put a bet in on the Super Bowl, number one, I think the coolest thing that you can do is, you can choose which book that you want to have. And, ideally, once you become a little more advanced, or even if you're just recreational, you want to have a couple outs, right? You want to have a few different options out there. And as sports betting becomes legal in more and more states, it's going to be easier and easier for bettors in the United States to do that. So, right now you can see with the Super Bowl, it's showing the best odds available based on the sports books that are selected. So you can go in, if you see, more lines, and you can actually go in and choose your books, and you can say, okay, which book do I want to be my primary sports book? So if there's one that you really want to, the one that you want displayed, but you could always just choose the best odds available. That's really convenient because, look, if you're not looking at it's basically like you're looking at a screen with all of the books. You can say, okay, look, there's a +1.5 out there now that I can go bet at PointsBet. And that's what I wanted with the 49ers. I can go bet it. You can also set up alerts, which I think are the most useful thing in this app. It's the one thing that I use the most. So I can say, okay, tell me when, this line moves at all. Or I can say, so I can go down here as an Edge subscriber. You can see, go into alerts. I can scroll down and I can just say, a lot of times I'll just say, tell me when this spread moves at all. And it's based on your primary book that you have. You can have a target line in there. So you can say, okay, let me know when it gets to San Fran +2. But if you X out of there, if you just click the button that says spread movement, which is just a regular feature, that is when you'll get an alert for any movement. But the good thing about this line move, whether it's a money line or a certain spread that you're targeting, is you could be driving. You could be, well, hopefully you're not driving doing it, but sometimes you got to
don't bet and drive, people.
You could be out on a date, you could be cooking dinner, and it's hard to just constantly monitor a line every single second of the day. You never know when it's going to pop. When this all of a sudden, hey, you get an alert on your phone and it says this line went to X, boom, you go out and get it. And over time, that's what's really going to make it makes a huge difference between a winning and a losing sports bettor, is if you're getting those numbers that you're targeting and getting the best of the numbers. So I really love the alert features, and also it's going to tell you when the second half opens. So if you can go in there and say, tell me when the second half line opens. It'll also, inside this app, once the game starts, it'll give you a countdown to when the second half starts, which I love. It'll go, okay, I only have 3 minutes to get this second half bet in, or look, this game's going to start in 3 minutes, 2:04, 2:03. And then obviously once all the games start, look, you just got an alert from Colin who put in an Iowa State bet. So if you follow people, which we'll get to, you'll get alerts that come in. Oh, okay, this person that I like following, they just put this bet in. Let me either go put it in or not. It's really just more for informational. And whether you're a straight tailer or not, it's, hey, here's an alert on someone that you follow and what they're betting. And then once the game starts, look, they're all here. And it's just the best. I mean, I cannot go a night with all of my action without having this app up at all times. So it's just, and we haven't even get to the content yet. We haven't got to the win probability model, but that's kind of just the very basics of how I think about the app.
Yeah, and I should mention that, there are no games going on, I think, right at this second, but, in the game details page, which you get to by just clicking on any game. So, in that tab, you can change your sport. You can click any game. And once you get there, if the game is going on, you will see a live updated win and cover probability for the spread, the total, and any other bets you have. You'll see a little bar that kind of is telling you what's going on. But for the spread and total, you'll always see a win probability with a percentages. So if you're into live betting, that is also something that can come really in handy. And as you mentioned, with those second half lines, that's something where maybe you made a bet and it's not doing too good. It doesn't have a big chance to cover. You can always go and try to hedge that, by making a wager on the second half. So the win probability is a really cool feature. Check it out, tonight. You could just click on an NBA game or something like that and kind of see it in action. But that is a feature that is extremely useful. And
that's our own proprietary model that is calculating that win probability. And it's going to be really highly correlated with the live odds, right? So if you have a team that you bet, to take Colin's Iowa State bet right now, if they get down 8-0 right off the bat, obviously the live odds are going to go up on Iowa State, and win probability on that bet's going to go down, and it's going to say, 37, 38% chance of winning a couple minutes in. And then that's, when you go into my action, that'll add up, and you can see, okay, how many red dots or how many green dots do I have going on? And that's really the whole experience. It gives you just a picture, just in colors. It's so easy to see how are my bets going. And if they're not going well, I always tell people to do this, that you can do this. You can go into alerts for a specific game. I've done this before, right? So I bet a football game. Say I bet a team -8 and they're down 38-0. I'm like, so if you bet this game, what would happen is automatically, like, scoring, game end, game start, the game halftime, they'll all be clicked. I'll come in here and just turn off scoring. I'll be like, stop fucking telling me about my losing bet. So those are other options that you can put in alerts. But yeah, the win probability really is the driver behind the whole user experience and gives you an idea of how one individual bet is going, and then additionally, cumulatively how your day or night is going as well.
Okay. So yeah, exactly. That it's really great. It's addictive. The green, of course, means, you're winning, or you have a better than 50% chance of winning. And the red dots mean losing. So let's go back to that game details page and kind of run through some more of the options. So when a game hasn't started yet, at the preview tab, you'll kind of see exactly what it sounds like, a preview of the game. Any content that we have pertaining to that game, you will see. You can kind of scroll through it. Right now, our Super Bowl prop bet article is up. Then you can scroll down a little bit and you see any picks that experts made. You see the lines. You see the sharp money. So sharp money is essentially which side is getting more money than bet. So for example, here we see that San Francisco is getting 41% of the tickets, but 44% of the money. So that's why the sharp money is +3 in favor of San Francisco. That's what that's telling you. And you can kind of see that in those charts as well. If you go down a little more, you can also see, line movement. The line has been pretty steady for the Super Bowl over the past couple of days. So that's kind of a flat line, but a lot of times leading up to game time, the lines will move and you'll see that bar jump up and down. And then under that, of course, you see some top prop bets which comes straight from our projections in Fantasy Lab and our props tool there. Bet Labs, you see our system plays, which are essentially you can create bet systems, which we'll talk about in a bit. But they all transfer. If you are a Bet Labs user, you can see those, and you can also see pro systems as well. And then these are anyone you follow. You can see their bets. You can see experts bets. I've made a couple. Damian Williams over 3.5 receptions. And you see Matthew Freeman and all the rest of the action guys have also made some bets. So
yeah, and if you want to log that bet, like we're doing right now, you can just hit add, and then save, and then boom, that bet has now been saved to your account. And you can go back and say, okay, you can log in and bet it yourself. But that's how easy it is to just add it to your tracking. If you see, an expert that bets something, whether it's in the game or whether it's, you go to someone's account, and then here's Evan, who's driving right now, his actual profile. You can see, look there, the bet has just already been added into his profile.
Yeah, and that's on the My Action tab, and there's a bunch of cool things within that tab as well. You can update the books that you have an accounts at in the My Books tab, so that you can, you can see those lines when you go to the game details page. Those will be the lines that pop up. You can also go to the analysis tab, which you can run different types of analyses on essentially things like, okay, what's my record when I'm betting NFL? What's my record when I'm betting NFL favorites? What's my record when I'm betting NFL totals? Things like that. So that's another really cool feature.
I love that feature. I mean, like, it's just, if you don't have, this is essentially replacing, and if you're doing this recreationally, you probably don't have, models or Excel sheets that are tracking a lot of this, and that's done right here for you. So a question like, you can see how your NFL is doing for the year, right? But you can say, all right, how are my sides or totals doing? And you can go in and you could say, all right, when I bet underdogs or favorites, and then you can say, wow, I've been way off on X. Let me either scale back, look into it a little more as to why, and just increase your awareness and intelligence as a bettor. So that analysis tab can be really useful.
Absolutely. All right, let's go back to the game details, and there's a couple more cool features within that page that I want to talk to you guys about. The picks tab is pretty self-explanatory. Again, it just shows everyone anyone of the action experts that's made a pick, and anyone you choose to follow, or any of your friends or whatnot. You can see those all there. The props tab, if you're interested in betting props, which is something that I love. All of the player props are listed here with our projections for them. And it's the same interface where you can just click that green plus. And if you want to make and track that bet, and you can kind of edit it to where the juice and the amount of units you're betting and all of that good stuff is exactly what it is at your actual book. If it doesn't match, these lines, we pull these lines from, a variety of legal sports books, usually whatever the best line is. So you may have a slightly different one, and you can reflect that by just clicking on edit bet. You can go to the stats tab, and you just see stats for, during the game, you'll see the box score. And then prior to the game, you'll just see the season stats for the two teams included in those games. Trends is a good one for just looking at the schedule. And Stuck, you can talk a little bit about kind of the trends tab and some of the useful information there.
Yeah, I mean, this is really just if you want to go and get a quick snapshot of what a team has done, over the past 4 or 5 games. You can then say, all right, let me look at their whole schedule. I can see, okay, what have they done their last 5? What is their over-under record? Where are they trending? So some bettors are into trending stats, others aren't. Here it is right for you. You can see, okay, who did they play last week? If you want to say, okay, did they have a bye? Did they have a big game last week? Right here, you can just come in and check really easily and see what the team has done, whether it's via trend or just, okay, who have they played of late, and what did they do against that set opponent? It's just an option, or a tab, I should say, to provide more information and insight, just at a really user-friendly, easy snapshot of a team's recent history.
Yeah, and I should mention you can scroll down. So when you first get to the tab, you see the two teams schedules. You scroll down a little, that's where that trend information that you're referring to is. And then under those, you also see edge trends, which are things like in word format, just kind of, okay, team is 6-0 straight up against division opponents, 5-0 straight up in their last 5. Just kind of trends that have been profitable for that team are kind of highlighted, and you can click, see trends. There might be more than 5. You'll get a whole list for both the money line, the spread, and the over-under trends that apply. So that's kind of another quick way where you don't have to necessarily be on a desktop or pouring through a ton of different tabs on your browser, phone or desktop to kind of get the information that you need. You can find it all in that trends tab. The odds tab is one of my favorites. You can kind of look at where it opened. You can get a quick snapshot of the money percentages, the betting percentages. And if you go down on that tab to the bottom, you can also see all the books that you kind of picked out and just listed. And it's a great way to, again, get a snapshot of the marketplace. And I do encourage people to, if you're serious about it, try to have accounts at least at 2 books, just so there is some opportunity to be exposed to some different lines and be able to shop around for the best one. For the Super Bowl, the lines have kind of converged to where it's pretty much San Francisco plus 1.5 at most books, and the total is the same at most books. But there are some times, especially with props or different games that aren't bet quite as much, where there will be differences that you can exploit. All right, let's go and talk quickly about the just go back to the game tab and look at the ticket and money percentages, because this is one that really, I think, is a game changer. And so I just wanted to run through it again. It says bets percentage and then money percentage, and the bets percentage is as simple as it sounds. It's just the what percentage of the bets in terms of tickets have come in on each side. And then Stuck, I know, so we like to compare it to the money percentages. So I guess just tell the users a little bit about what that means when you're comparing it, and why we compare the money to the bets.
Yeah. Now, you don't want to take this just as pure science, but it's a lot of times with, because there's also parlay exposures that books have and other things. But in general, when you're looking at these games, whether it's college basketball or NFL, this will give you a pretty good idea of what people are betting overall. So, in this game so far, it's nothing drastic. It's, 59% of tickets are on Kansas City. And then, what is drastic is 80% of tickets are on the over. And a lot of the money is also on the over so far. There's a consensus and thought out there that there's going to be sharper money coming in on the under later in the week. People are waiting to see, can I get 55? Can I get 55.5? Can I get 56? Right? With 55 being such a key number. So as of right now, what you can see is the action's pretty split. But if you saw 59% of tickets on Kansas City and then only like 25% of the money on Kansas City, be a signal that, okay, there might be some bigger bets, which aren't always sharper, but in general are going to be from sharper bettors. So to provide an example on this game specifically, if, what I just said, that narrative is true and that there's sharper bettors that are out there waiting to bet the under, I personally am myself, to see if I can get a 55.5, a 56 ideally. Then what you would see, if say those big bets start coming in on Saturday, Sunday morning, right, that percent, you would assume that people are still, your average recreational bettor is still betting the over, right, not as price sensitive on the total, whether it's 54, 54.5, 55. That percentage of bets would probably stay around 80, but you would see that percentage of money on 85% of over would drop, and you maybe see it, okay, now all of a sudden it's at 60% of the money is on the over, while 80% of tickets, which would signify that, okay, some bigger bets have come in on the under from presumably sharper bettors. Not always the case. And remember, sharper bettors don't always win. They're out there striving to hit, they're out there betting games where they have a 4 to 5% edge and they're trying to hit 54, 55%. So don't just, oh, look, it's a sharp bet. It looks like there's sharper money on this game. Let me just bet my rent on it. It's just a tool to act as a signal that, okay, this side might be sharper. And as someone that's just, if you're just starting out doing this, if a game looks really obvious, it might be a signal to you, okay, maybe I'll have to look at this game a little closer. It might not be as obvious as I thought. And if you want to bet as a contrarian and bet on the sharper side, you can use it that way as well. But it's just another tool to provide insight and information into a specific game that you're potentially thinking about betting.
Absolutely. All right. So that's pretty much the game details tab. We want to quickly go to the follow tab on the bottom. And that is just to show you how to actually what you see there. So anyone you're following, you can see all of their picks updated in real time. So it's kind of just like a Twitter feed or a, status feed on Facebook that you're used to. It's just with people's bets. So you can see parlays, every pick, and it's in chronological order. So if there's new picks, they will be at the top. And you can also use that screen to then, if you go to the top and there's a search bar, you can type in usernames and look for people to follow. So you see some of the action guys at the top there. But if your friend gives you their screen name or something, yeah, you can look there. You can see me. I apparently suck at teasers. Have done pretty well in some of the other things. So yeah, you can see that, and you can see that information then for the people you follow as well, how they've been doing in their bets. So you can kind of follow the people that you think are, going to help you be profitable. You might want to see their picks.
And it also could be fun and entertainment. So you can go in and follow your friends. Even if you don't necessarily want to tail their bets or really care what you still want to see, okay, how are they doing? And it's fun to share your action. So, if you go into that follow tab and you scroll all the way down, you'll have the option to add friends from your contacts. You can then, go to you could follow big names. So like, here's your contacts. And then at the very top, so you can connect with people you can go all the way to the top and you could search for someone. So if someone's like, hey, I'm on Action Network, follow me, or if you want to start to build a following, then you can give out your name and someone can search here and find you and follow you, and then they would get notifications from your picks. They would show up on that follow tab, and you can keep tabs whether or not you want to do it seriously or you just want to rib your friends for how bad they are at betting.
Yep. Okay, so we'll get to a couple questions, but real quick, just wanted to go back and show that you can also see our content, our Edge content through the app as well. So you can go to if you go to the Today tab, you'll kind of see a kind of like what you would expect of a homepage on a website where the different sports and just the top pieces of content, the trending content, the most recent content for the day is there, and the ones marked with the little blue Edge logo, of course, are the ones that are only available to you as an Edge subscriber that would not be available, just to, the general public. So those are the ones where you're reading those for more insight into actual expert picks and analysis and things like that we're, that we're paywalling. So yeah, that
you also say you wanted to get Super Bowl content, you could just go into NFL tab, because this is going to be, you can filter by sport here, but if okay, I'm just betting the Super Bowl this week, you could just go to this NFL tab, click analysis, and boom, that's going to be all of our content that has come up and posted recently and or is relevant for an upcoming game. And there's only one game this week, but if there's multiple games, you could click on a game and it would show you, as we showed you before, the relevant articles that pertain to that particular game.
Okie dokes. All right, so let's get to a couple questions here. Blake is asking, is the live win probability a good tool to use when deciding when you want to lock in a live bet? I would say yes, but keep in mind that these things move extremely quickly. So, I would say that the books are using a similar model in calculating their lines as we are, calculating our probability. So you don't want to get caught up kind of just going, waiting for it and kind of going slow. Like, you want to get in a general idea. And a lot of this comes from just kind of watching it in different games and watching it unfold or going back and looking. But I would say that it is. And if you can kind of have the app open as your live betting is open as well, you can definitely use that in that manner. But it's also cool just to kind of, again, whether it's a live bet or just a hedge that you want to make, it's always good to know kind of what your chances are. So yeah, I do use it for live betting, but just keep in mind you have to be pretty fast with that.
Yeah, it comes down to speed, and then also, I mean, you don't want to get caught up with trying to, just have a ton of volume, locking in profit here and there and there. I mean, in particular circumstances, it's good to use that, but you got to remember, like Chris said, live betting comes down to speed, and then there's also the juice component. A lot of times when you're trying to live bet something, the juice is going to be a little bit higher. And that can add up over time. So you want to be careful. You don't want to go overboard on doing it. But yeah, it's definitely a good tool to let you know where you stand in relation to your chances of covering the entire game. And then right there, while the game's going on, you'll see the live line. The live line will populate right on that scoreboard and be continuously updating. So you can say, okay, this live line is it's about 9, it's about 10, and you're on your app, you're finding those scores. Once it gets up to like 12, 13 range, then you can log in into your account, and then you can get ready to bet it. So it also provides a way to signal when a live bet that, so like going into the Super Bowl, if the Chiefs were +7, +10 early after a couple fluke plays, and I saw that, and I'm out watching the Super Bowl right on the app, oh, okay, looks like it's getting in range for me to bet, then I can log in and check, and it'll show you on the app what that live line is. So there's a lot of different tools that you can use that can help you with your live betting and or wanting to hedge a specific bet.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is, let's see, another question. Sorry. Okay. Is there an issue with syncing bets between app and website? So no. So what happens is when you click a bet in the app, it will also, if you're on the website and you go to your My Action tab, you just kind of click your account and go to My Action. You'll see the same things in that you've put on the app. You can also view that on browser. It sometimes may take a second to update to the website, but it should all be there in the same manner that you posted it in on the app. And so that's pretty cool that you can be, you can also be viewing this information on a browser if you do need to. So yeah, that is how you do pretty much use the app. I think we ran through all the tabs. Now we also have an elevated subscription level, which is Pro, which is that middle tab. And for that's where you can, if you're a BetLabs subscriber, which is a super high tier where you can kind of comb through over almost 2 decades essentially of betting data, and you can create systems that then import automatically to the app. And any game, it will be in your game details tab, and you can also view it in the Pro tab, and you'll kind of see all of the systems. So for example, like underdogs on losing streaks, and it tells you the winning percentage, it tells you the ROI. You can click one of those systems actually, and it gives you all of the information on exactly what the trend is, how it has performed over time. And if you scroll down, see system history, you can even view the individual game. So it is really cool. I encourage you to check it out if you're interested in really going in hardcore. A Pro subscription might be right for you. A BetLab subscription might be right for you, because those really add even more to the experience. And
the line move predictor too is for Pro is pretty cool also, because it's going to give you an idea based on, right? So it's looking at the entire market and giving you a signal of okay, it looks like this line, there's a 78% probability that the Kings, so basically the Lightning, are going to get bet up, right? So if you were thinking about betting the Kings, you would want to wait, right? If you were thinking about betting the Lightning, you would want to bet now. So this is a really useful tool for that as well, if you want to take it a little more serious and elevate your knowledge. That the line predictor is a really valuable tool.
Absolutely. And, I should also mention, one of our other subscription tiers on the upper level. And this is kind of, if you're also interested in DFS, then you want to check out fantasylabs.com. And, one of the cool things I think to mention for the Super Bowl is that, even as a Edge subscriber, you can go to that NFL tab. And this is true for any sport, but you can go to a game, you can hit the game details, and that props tab. You'll see all the props, and you'll see those projections are coming from our Fantasy Labs. And if you want to subscribe to Fantasy Labs, you get the full props tool. You get all of the DFS player models with the lineup optimizers, all a lot of other cool dashboards in terms of we have we track contests on DraftKings in top users and all their lineups and correlations and just all these different things pertaining to DFS and trends and whatnot that you can kind of pour through and really make great DFS models and create a repeatable process to be profitable. Of course, on Fantasy Labs, and we have paywall content there too. I do all of our DFS breakdowns. And those are for Fantasy Lab subscribers. So if you're interested in those, but just wanted to point out again that Super Bowl is the biggest prop game of the year. So you can find all the player props and kind of track those with your friends in the app. So I think that about does it. Stuck. Anything else? Hold on. We got a couple more questions. Let's get to those real quick. Asking when we'll be adding advanced MOB stats to the BetLab system. So we're always in the process of adding more data to our BetLabs filters. So there's over 100 different stats you can look at, but ERA plus and some of those other advanced stats, we are looking into kind of adding those. And we always have conversations about, okay, what are the metrics that we want to go about adding. So we will definitely be adding to all of the different sports that we try to always add. And the same thing for our Fantasy Labs trends tool. We try to update the filter, so there's always more and more data to go through. Let's see. So adding bets from previous times. So right now we don't. You would have to add a bet before the start of the contest in order for it to track. And we did that just to kind of maintain the integrity of it, to where we don't want people to be able to essentially go back and put in a whole bunch of winning bets or whatnot. So generally you want to add in any bet before, but there is a way to kind of track past bets on your personal end if you need to, and that would be to go to the website, and you just go to My Action, and there's a button with a blue link for custom pick, and you can kind of just create a custom pick, and it will allow you to grade it yourself. It will not be public, so like your followers won't see it, but it will register for your own tracking purposes. So that's the way you would go to add a pick that you missed out on tracking. Let's see. So Peter's asking about the Fantasy Labs props. So the projections, if you're an Edge member, the projections you see for the player props come straight from the Fantasy Labs tool. So those are the Fantasy Labs projections. You do get those in the props tab when you visit that tab. So that is, you don't need a separate Fantasy Labs app for that. That's all here. The Fantasy Labs subscription just contains a lot of extra tools and models and DFS optimizers and data and things of that nature. Let's see. Yeah. All right. I think we are done. Looks like that's the question. Stuck. Any other final thoughts to add before we get out of here?
No, thanks for subscribing, everyone. And we will do more of these, and we'll rotate people and just more educational video conferences, answer questions, and just try and make this as user friendly and answer any questions that anyone has, and try and make it more about a community. So this won't be the last one of these. So appreciate the questions and you guys joining and subscribing.
Yeah. Winners. Oh, sorry. I was going to say, and also you guys can feel free to hit us up on Twitter at Action Network HQ, and we can answer more questions. Stuckey's at Stuckey2 on Twitter, and I'm at Chris Raybon, and you guys can hit us up We really appreciate you guys for subscribing. We know that some of these tools might be new to you and not as intuitive as they are to us who use them religiously every day. So be sure to hit us up. You got more questions, and good luck this season. Let's get this shmoney. And again, thank you guys. Talk to you guys soon.